what is good AMT and what is bad AMT? I've got the marker cap off because I'm drawing it right now. So when you calculate your taxes, you actually have to put your taxes into two different formulas. One is going to be according to the regular tax system, but there's an alternative tax calculation called the alternative minimum tax. And I'll put AMT. AMT in this one, OI for ordinary income, according in this bracket right here. And what does that actually look like when it comes tax time when you pay your taxes? Well, if we add these two things together, this is how it actually comes out. We're going to carry this line from the ordinary income or the regular tax system over, and I'm going to draw it right there. So this portion is going to be your regular tax rates, and this portion on top is going to be the alternative minimum tax rates. That says AMT, it's kind of hard to read, but that is what it actually looks like when you pay your taxes. A portion to the AMT and a portion to the regular tax system. So before I jump into what is good AMT, what does that look like, and what does bad AMT look like, I just want to remind you that because there are so many unique circumstances about your specific situation, first off, I don't know who you are that's watching this, but because you have so many unique goals and values and numbers to your own tax calculation, that I can't actually say that this is always going to be the case. So I'm going to avoid using definitives. So I'm not going to say that good AMT always looks like this, and if it looks like this, it's always good. Or if AMT looks like this, then it's always bad. I say this for your own safety, not necessarily just for mine, but I really don't want you to act on this without the help of a professional. So back to the whiteboard. I'm gonna, like I said, avoid using definitives, and I'm gonna say this is probably, good AMT. So if AMT has a potential to be good, this is most likely what it'll look like. So we are looking again at a bar like this, and the lower portion again is going to be the regular tax rate, and then we've got AMT up here. So when I see this as a financial planner and a tax planner, I love to see my clients have this kind of situation if they have the ability to shift income. Now, the reason that is because when they earn another dollar, so let's say that this is their tax situation right now, but there's more income that they can be earning by the end of the tax year. So what happens here is that the ordinary income tax rates, if you're like my clients, you will be in the 37% tax bracket with your ordinary income, 37%, and the AMT is going to be at the 28%. And I'll take just a quick second to mention this. I know what all of the articles online are going to say. I know what your CPA is going to say. They're both going to say that the max tax rate is 28%. And in fact, that actually aligns with what is on the actual form of Form 6251, the alternative minimum tax calculation. That's in the code. But it just so happens that in the exclusion phase out, that AMT can actually increase to 35%, an effective 35%. So just be aware of that. 28 is not actually the highest rate, but for most people, it may be. So that being said, my clients or you, if you earn more income in this situation, what happens is that this is it's going to have to go through both of these formulas, but this one is going to be increased by 37%, and this is increased by 28%. So imagine with me, you've got two cars. And we've got the AMT car and the regular tax car. AMT car has a little bit of a head start. They're all the way up here, and your regular tax is a little behind right here. This car is traveling 37 miles per hour, and this car, the AMT car, is traveling 28 miles per hour. So if you think about it, ordinary income is ultimately going to catch up to AMT. But AMT is still moving forward. It's traveling at 28 miles per hour, while this one's traveling 37. So when we earn income and that next dollar that you earn goes through these two calculations, what's going to happen is that your ordinary income, again, is going to be increasing at a much faster rate, and I'm going to put just a little dotted line there to represent you earning that next dollar, and your ordinary income increases because that next dollar is still taxed at 37%, and it goes into the AMT calculation. And the AMT calculation, the AMT is actually shrinking if you think about it. The difference between the AMT car traveling at 28 miles per hour and the regular tax car traveling at 37, that difference between those two numbers, or the difference between those two cars, is actually shrinking. But the net tax impact is going to be 28%. And that's the kicker that you need to understand here, is that when they earn that next dollar, yes, this goes up at a faster rate than AMT goes up, but AMT is still going up. So this is what I really like to see right here. We want to look at the net tax impact. So you have to look right there, and that only grew 28%. So I'm going to say 28% net tax impact. There you have it. That's what good AMT looks like. And again, whether that's right for you, I'm not for sure. But that's what I like to do with my clients if it makes sense for them and their values, their goals, their unique financial circumstances that they're in. But I actually, before I move on from probably good AMT, I'm going to put these arrows right here. Because again, when you earn more income, ordinary income is going up, and so is AMT. I mean, your net tax bill is also increasing. Technically, AMT is shrinking, but they are both going up. So you want to pay attention to these two arrows here, because what bad AMT looks like, let me go ahead and write this out. Again, I'm going to say probably, or potentially, I'll have to say potentially bad AMT. Potentially bad AMT. I'm just going to erase this. But again, you need to understand that the net tax impact of earning that next dollar is only 28%, whereas typically income is earned at 37. So that's why I can typically save my clients through AMT. I can utilize AMT to save them money and get them into a lower tax bracket, whereas if they're in the 37% tax bracket this year, 37% tax bracket in the foreseeable future, then it makes sense for them to be paying 28%. And what's the difference between that? 9%. So oftentimes I can save my clients lots of money. That's not a guarantee for you, but depending on what circumstances you're in, it might actually be a good thing for you. So when it comes to bad AMT, we've got the same situation here. We will say that it's the same ratio. AMT is a portion, and the regular tax for ordinary income rates, they are, that's the bottom portion right here. So when it comes to preference items in AMT, preference items apply to AMT. So for example, like a private activity bond, that's going to do one thing. That's going to increase AMT right here. So AMT is going up. A private activity bond doesn't actually affect ordinary income. Or even if it's not a preference item, if it's an add back item, such as the exercise of incentive stock options, or a positive adjustment item. So the exercise of incentive stock options, when you exercise those, the bargain element goes into the AMT calculation. It doesn't actually go into the ordinary income tax rate. So what that's doing is that's increasing your tax, but not actually saving you anything. That's the difference here between good AMT and bad AMT. Is good AMT, if it makes sense, both are going up, both your AMT and your ordinary income, but AMT is shrinking and ordinary income is infringing upon AMT. I don't mean to say that if this is the circumstance that you're in, that you shouldn't be doing this, because maybe you want to exercise your incentive stock options, which happen to trigger AMT, and you only have so much time left at the company before you move to a different job. So you need to exercise and you need to trigger AMT. But as far as tax planning goes, these are just things that you want to take into consideration as you think about the different ways that taxes can be leveraged for your own benefit. So that leaves us with a question on when exactly does AMT transition from it being a bad thing to it being a potentially good thing? And I filmed a video to explain that right here. I put it up on the shelf for you, so give it a watch. Thanks for watching, guys.